Out of interest, I started to work on microalgae like 15 years ago. We did mainly our research on lab scale. Bit by bit, there came industrial interest in the field, and there was a need to bridge the gap actually between fundamental research taking place in the lab and the commercial applications.
The sun. It all starts with the sun. The sun provides energy, brings nature to life, and our society. We can store and use solar energy, allowing us to create an economy that safeguards energy, food and resources for generations to come. A bio-based economy.
If you care about the planet where we live, the benefit is that you're contributing to a more sustainable world.
Microalgae potentially is the source or the way to do that.
To access the sunlight's potential, we need microalgae, because microalgae are champions at converting solar energy into useful biomass.
They are photosynthetic microorganisms, they're beautiful, they're green, and they can produce from almost nothing, very little, they can produce a lot of different compounds to be used in our society.
I think algae is important because it is one possibility to transform sun in an interesting product for food, feed, chemicals, and also for energy.
The companies with whom we collaborate are mostly end users of products, and they are from all kinds of sectors. So that can be for fuel, but that can also be feed and food companies or chemical companies. So a large variety of companies that presently are using fossil resources or agricultural crops as a feedstock, but due to the scarcity they are in search for alternatives.
So from the sun mostly and CO2 you can produce many compounds. That's the simplicity of the process, in fact. That's the beauty of it.
The big bottleneck is the costs that we can make them for and the scale at which we can produce. So we are not able today to produce sufficient lipids, for example, for biofuel. My dream 20 years from now is that the consumer does not notice that there are algae in their food or in their fuel or in their chemicals, but that they are convinced that there is a sustainable supply of those ingredients and that they can live in the same welfare as they are doing now without noticing that it is from algae.
Since 2011, Algae Park is the place for algae research. All aspects of algae are studied here by looking at the entire production chain in an integral way. Strain improvement. We use modern breeding and selection techniques to create superalgae that will produce the bio-based products of the future. Cultivation. Here we get to know the needs of our microalgae under controlled laboratory conditions. Scale up. With our outdoor pilot, we're taking the first steps towards the next level, a relevant industrial scale. Harvest. We work on smart ways of separating microalgae and water, efficiently and at low energy expenditure. Biorefinery. We work on mild separation technologies to obtain all the valuable components of the microalgae: proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and pigments. Product development. Together with our partners, we develop future applications for microalgal products.
We start with the algae itself. How can we make them more efficient? How can they produce more of the products that we want for the food, for the feed, for the chemistry, for the energy industries? Our first research program was based on indoors, and when you come outdoors, it's a huge challenge. So then you have the technology development. So in which kind of systems do you need to grow them? Vertical, horizontal, closed systems. And this is in fact in these pilot facilities very much what we're looking at. And then after you have to take all the components from your cell. And you have to do this again in the energy efficient, so putting as little energy as possible. And you have to do it in a way that you don't break all the components, that you keep the functionality of the components inside the cell when you want to take them out, because all of them have value. So these are the steps. What I want to see is the implementation of our process in in our society. So we have two ambitions. One, of course, is the quality and scientific ambitions, and the other one, which is also very important, is to implement it. And I want to make it happen.
At Algae Park, we strive to make algal products in the cheapest and most sustainable way possible. We aim to make the world a greener and more sustainable place.
But my dream is that to see really a large-scale production of microalgae for commodities of algae. So I dream of seeing hundreds of hectares with production of microalgae in a sustainable way. In 2011, so that's now 3 years ago, so that's when we first inoculated, and this has been a growing process in the last 3 years. The world is looking at this place, and we also see it with the partners that we have in our research programs. We work in collaboration with many industrial partners from all over the world, from the States, from Europe, so the world is looking at this place.
What we see is that industry is open-minded for the use of microalgae. There's more and more pressure on the quantity of feedstocks that are available and about the sustainability of it. And algae provides a good source for that. And I think that's for many companies interesting to be part of that.
These are one group of industries. On the other side, you have from the algae cultivation until your end product, there's a lot of opportunities in the chain for example, small, medium companies to come and bring the technology. The technology needs to be developed.
For the future, for example, for the chemicals and for the biofuel, it will be interesting, but you need to have some breakthrough in order to have an economical point of view and interest.
When we started in 2011, the projected costs for the production of microalgae on 100 hectares in the Netherlands were about 5.50 euros per kilogram.
We are now 2 years en route, and we are at 50% reduction in estimated cost price based on the models.
By 2025, we aim to have the costs under €1 by cultivating superalgae in our most advanced systems in sunny locations such as the south of Europe and the Canary Islands.
And then we can compete with commercial proteins, palm oil, etc., etc.
Algae Park gives the opportunity to have a pilot plant scale. After, you need to build a demonstration unit, and after a commercial unit.
So at this moment, there's no experience in large-scale cultivation. 1 hectare is a large scale for microalgae. So if you want to grow microalgae for commodities, bulk products, the scale has to increase a lot.
How can we further reduce the cost price and energy consumption? How can we extract all the valuable components from our algae in an efficient way? How can we, together with our industrial partners, develop economically attractive market combinations? These are the challenges for the future.
You need to start with one step, and Algae Park it's really an important step for the development.
That's why we at Algae Park will work hard at developing superalgae with the best features for industrial application in the coming years. We're working on legislation and social acceptance of algae and their products. We're working on even more efficient and more sustainable cultivation methods to close the loop in production. Together with our partners, we aim to test production systems at more sunny locations, improve harvesting and biorefining of algae biomass, and develop more competitive market applications. That's the strength of Algae Park's unique character, working on all steps of the production chain with an integral approach. With microalgae, we are building a bio-based future. Let's build it together.